Hi everyone, welcome to Isami Rat Care and the next day on the 12 days of enrichment feeding. So what we're going to look at today is a bit of a make challenge actually, and it's all about, I don't know if you've ever seen them, so enrichment feeding, one of the things my girls love is this. This is a foraging toy for parrots. So what they have to do is basically, I sprinkle food in each of these sections and then they move it around and they have to kind of try and get it out by any means possible. They're quite good at this now, but it took them a little while to get it. They kind of put the little paws in and drag the stuff out and stuff. It's brilliant. It's made of kind of perspex, dead solid, chew resistant, easy to attach to the cage. So a really good enrichment toy. In fact, I quite often use it when I'm going to be away all day, so I feed them like once. This helps slow them down eating it. So it's a bit of a kind of special treat for them to use this. But I've got various other foraging toys as well. Parrot stuff is great. The problem is it's not cheap. You're talking about 15, 20 quid sometimes for a decent quality one. I have seen them getting cheaper recently, but it is quite an initial outlay if you're not sure if your rats are going to get it. So what I'm going to do today is talk you through a kind of method of making something similar. It's not the same, it's not as durable or as good as this kind of thing, but it's something you can make at home relatively easily and relatively cheaply. So the secret is this. So this is a highly inappropriately sized wheel sold for hamsters. It's dead cheap. It really is not a fancy thing at all. It's got a really cheap kind of catch at the back. Spins round, it's fine. Too small for hamsters. Makes a perfectly fine rat foraging wheel with a bit of adaptation. It's the type of thing they could chew through fairly quickly if they wanted to. But to be honest, I'm going to make the front out of cardboard. So they're going to chew through that first anyway, and it cost me about 3 quid off Amazon. So it's not a big outlay for me to kind of make a few of them if I wanted to. So the first thing is we want to make the front. So what I've done is, this is a random bit of card off cut I got in some packaging with all the stuff over Christmas. I'm sure people will have similar around. You can use larger card if you want. So this is just going to make up the front. And you have to bear with me, I haven't made one of these before, but in my head it should be straightforward. Right, so we're just going to draw around so we can get the circle shape. As with everything we've made, this is not about it being perfect. The rats are going to destroy it anyway, so a bit of rough and ready is absolutely fine. Oops. It would help, however, if I could cut out reasonably. If you wanted to do this a little bit more durably, you could do little flaps that you fold down and tape in place, but I'm a bit after going for speed here. And this is the first kind of iteration, so it's the type of thing that I'd probably try and then see what tweaks I can make to make it better. So this is going to be taped over the top using trusty duct tape, something that if you don't own as a rat owner you really need to, because it's very useful. It doesn't matter if they chew a bit, which they do chew a bit of it. It's just very, very useful and fairly good stick. So what I also decided I wanted to try, and we shall see if this one works, is I want to make some little compartments in there, a bit like we've got in this. They're not going to be as fancy as that, but I thought I could make a very simple cross just using some bits and pieces from this random box that I found. So I'm going to open it up and just use it as for cardboard. Right, so in order to get this to roughly the right width, I want to probably cut these flaps off because they're just ever so slightly too short. I may then look at this and decide actually I want to use those flaps because they're not that short. Right, and then I want to get a strip that's approximately the kind of width of that. I want it probably slightly under, so it slots in easily. So I'll just use this to draw. So it's about that, and I shall use some highly scientific method of a bit of card to kind of draw this line roughly along, and that'll give us a strip that we can make into sections quite simply. Right, a bit more cutting. Yeah, I'll do that, doesn't really matter. Test of my engineering skills, which might make you guys laugh when I do finally produce it. I would probably, had I got another handy box, use slightly thinner card than this. Though to be fair, this card is quite good because it's quite thick, so it stands up on its own with minimum fuss. But I just kind of picked up what I've got in the rack room at the moment. If you're kind of being clever, you can save stuff. So then all I want to do is basically, I want something that fits internally. Now this hamster wheel is quite handy because I don't know if you can see, but it's got like little ridges on the inside, so I can slot things inside it nicely, which will suit. So I'm going to try cutting it. One thing I got taught in engineering is always cut it slightly oversized because you can always cut it back, whereas if you cut it too small, it's no good. Okay, we're about right here, but there's a little lump in the middle, so maybe I might actually go to one side of it, and that fits even better. So we've got one slot in there, and then I'm going to cut another length to roughly the same. Again, I'm not looking for perfect here, I'm looking for functional. Right, that was a little bit too big. Right, so now what we want to do to slot these two together, we want to make where they're going to overlap, and my trusty Sharpie, another essential to all rat owners, particularly if you breed, because they're really good for marking tails. So I'm going to lay this up roughly where I want it to go, and then just make a mark where it crosses that other thing, and I'm going to make a mark on the bottom one as well. So then what I want to do is I want to cut a slot in that's just a little bit over halfway. So it doesn't have to be fancy. So if you see, just like that. And the same on this one. This will let them slot together nicely and hopefully give me the finish that I want. So I'll slot that back in, and then with a bit of fiddling and probably some adjustment, because I've not done the other thing they taught me in engineering, which is measure twice, cut once. Right. So there, so straight away we've got a couple of sections. They're not perfect. If I wanted to, I could add more onto there. But it'll do for the purposes of this video, and I don't want to drag it out too long for you because I'm sure you've got better things to do than watch me talk. So then we've got our top. So what we want for the top is we want to cut some holes in this for the rats to start getting the food out. So I'm just going to sketch on some various holes, and I'm going to put them roughly in each section. Right, that's fine. Then I'm going to get some slightly sharper scissors than these because they're a bit big and blunt for what I want. Rat nail scissors apparently come in useful. So just be careful when you're doing this to not like stab yourself. I'm hopefully not going to demonstrate how to stab yourself, but I have been known in the past. So we just cut out these holes. Now with this being card rather than the Perspex, they're likely to use these holes as kind of a means to chew into it. That's great. It's something that I think is well worth them being able to do anyway, because they'll enjoy chewing it. And in fact, you could use like thicker card than this, or if you wanted to make it easy for them, just use a bit of wrapping paper and again tape it over the front, and then all you need to do is replace that once they've torn it to pieces. It's all about different kind of levels of difficulty, and you can play with the same kind of toy idea again and again and just make it a little bit harder by adding kind of more layers for them to get through, thicker layers and so on. Right, we're nearly there with this. What you could also do with this is you could put some mesh in front and then use it to store vegetables in it, so the type of stuff, or even hay, probably more veg to be honest for rats, and then they can chew it through. Right, so that's now our cover. Sadly with this we can't see through it, but it should work fine. We can also use these holes to get through, to sprinkle the food into each of these sections. So make sure that your holes line up with the sections like I have done here. And then we're just going to tape this roughly in place. It's not going to be pretty, but I don't mind. And actually this tape's great because once I've finished with this bit I can peel it off and put a different front on it. It'd be really interesting, if you do make this actually, it'd be really interesting to see what different approaches that you make. You could make it pretty by wrapping it in wrapping paper if you wanted to, or using colourful duct tape. But I'm just after functional today. So there we are. We have a spinning treat wheel, and I can just put some of the dry mix in there, which we will try shortly. I'll put a little bit in each section. I won't put too much in because I have to keep an eye on how much I'm feeding at the moment, because Mog's pregnant and I don't want her getting fat. I don't want them getting fat anyway, but you know, you can handle a little bit of weight in a different way when you're not minding a rat's girth, because it can cause problems if they get too fat when pregnant. So it's in there, and you can hear the rattling as it goes round, so hopefully that will attract them, and we shall see what they make of it. So over and out from this bit, and then we'll go over to the girls. Okay, me and the girls are ready to see what they make of the 2 foraging wheels. I put both in. We shall launch the rats. Come on, girls. Oh, the rats in. No, don't come back on me. You've already... No, chocolate. Okay, you can look at that one. Right. So we straight away have some interest in the cardboard one. To be fair, they've seen this one before and I've put them all on that side, so I suspect they'll show more interest in the new thing because it's a little bit easier to get into. So straight away you can see that they've sussed out that there's some food in there. And they're managing to turning it around quite nicely. Now they're going to have to either use their paws or they're going to have to chew the hole a bit wider. So we shall see what they do with that. At the moment they know very well what's in there. And there's a bit of chewing going on there. Oh, don't just lick it. Yeah, that's it, Mog. Everybody's ignoring the other foraging wheel. This one looks more promising. Right, I can see you, monster. And now, as per usual with my girls, a lot of them have just run off to see whether there's anything else that they can claim. Though I do think Tato might have just got something else there. And Ellie's checking out the other foraging wheel. Oh, I can see you, Tato. Yes, and you, Mog. Is it too much like hard work? They have just been pre-filming stuff. Oh, it's okay, thing. Did you fall? Little thing just got a scare. Oh, and Tato's properly getting into it now. You can see straight away that she's starting to pull at it, and she's actually managed to get another piece of food out. By virtue of kind of pulling it. I think she cheated and opened that up a little bit and some dropped out, but if it worked. And we now have Fing demonstrating the other foraging wheel over that side, so you can see that she's using her paws to kind of get in and sort through the bits that she wants. Oh, I can see you, Luna. That bit's a bit big for her to get out apparently, so she's going to have to work a little bit harder and work out how to get that. This is a little earlier than their normal foraging time, but Tato has definitely sussed out this wheel. Nobody else has so far, but that's part of the fun of this. This is quite a challenging one. It's one to try when your rats have got used to foraging in other ways. That's an alternative way of spinning it, Ellie. Tato's now the queen of this wheel. And is doing a good job of it, actually. Go on, show the others. Right, what I'm probably going to do is I will close the video for now. I'll scatter the rest of the food, and then I'll take a photo of what's left of this wheel in the morning, so you can see that they've probably, I'm expecting them to have chewed it all, whereas that one will still be in one piece but empty. So bye for now, and we're over halfway on this journey, so it's been fun. I hope you're enjoying it too, and you girls and your boys as well. Bye for now.